Makes me nervous.
Oh, the crane?
It's everywhere. No matter where you look, no matter where you are, there it is.
How things coming along? On schedule as always. They'll be acting out this time around.
Look out!
This should have never happened. Any of it.
This is no one's fault but your own. My hands are clean.
This isn't science anymore. This is murder. Keep it down.
The crane! Get out of the way!
Hey, leave her alone.
Leave him alone.
On 3, you will return from this trance to reality. 1, 2, 3.
Episode 4. It seems that Nikolai's trips to Looney Town are coming to a close, with the 4th and final episode so far for In Fear I Trust. Apparently there is a 5th episode coming, but until then, let's take a look at number 4.
Has to be the third repair order this week for this thing.
Oh yeah, it's a piece of junk.
You've seen this master of ceremonies?
Just like the episodes before it, this one starts you off in a new location. However, it is a location that we got a brief look at previously. The story seems to be a continuation of Nikolai's life, but at this point it's too hard to work out where it sits in the timeline. And just like in the other episodes, the story is here, and it isn't bad per se, it's just quite hard to follow. The devs have definitely nailed down the atmosphere and general feel of the game now. You can never quite shake the feeling of something being wrong. You're not sure what it is, but the place just feels off. This is supported fairly heavily with the music and sound design. The music fits pretty perfectly in most scenes, and the sound design is done in such a way that you can tell it's a mobile port, but it certainly isn't low quality. The visuals of the game haven't really been improved upon at all, which is no surprise. But if we're honest, they probably don't really need any improving. There are only a few moments where you'll even notice a problem with them, and even then, it's nothing to write home about. On the topic of the way the game looks, however, the low FOV still hasn't been changed, and the game suffers heavily from it. Sometimes it even messes with your ability to see scripted scenes happening, which simply isn't acceptable, even for a port. There is also one scripted scene near the end of the episode where the game automatically changes the FOV, this time to something a touch high, which brings a fisheye look to the game for a brief minute or so. It's extremely off-putting, especially when straight afterwards it throws you straight back to the low FOV, which just makes you sick to the stomach. To stay on the theme of it being a port, the controls in puzzles specifically for this episode are extremely frustrating. Some are half fixed for a mouse, but others are still exactly the same as if you were actually touching the screen, just with a mouse. There is no consistency, and even the puzzles that are fixed have very dodgy fixes, and there is no other way to explain it than simply frustrating. On a positive note, episode 4 felt more open, like you could explore it more. For example, there was a puzzle that you could easily totally miss and still finish the episode, and when attempting it we weren't even able to complete it. Not because of bad controls for once either, but for anyone who wants to soak up as much of the backstory as possible, it would definitely be a challenge to pursue. When looking at it as a whole, In Fear I Trust has some interesting ideas and methods to pull them off. It certainly has its faults, but it also does a lot of things right. The audio is great, the visuals are decent enough, and the story is interesting, when it's not confusing the hell out of you, that is. However, the negatives really do drag it down at some points, and it draws you completely out of the game. It's hard to beat it for its price per episode, but when looking at the total combined price, there are simply some better options out there. But if you want to get in your quick fix of indie horror in a style that hasn't been explored too much, In Fear I Trust certainly isn't a bad option.